Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
Yes! Hey everybody! Welcome to Barsha, episode 50 on a queer day with Eden Rose Torres. I'm so excited today. We have a great show. Please invite people, share this. I am broadcasting to the world. I am broadcasting to all my followers, and I hope you will too. We're simulcasting on YouTube, and I think we're going to have a really good conversation today for Gay Pride. Notice they used to call it Gay Pride. Now it's just called Pride, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about. As soon as I can get my guest in here, I will. Let's see. This is very exciting. Okay. Just starting in a minute. I see people coming in. Very excited about today. In 1 minute, we are about to do something so fantastic.
Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
I didn't know that you did this fireside. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Wow. And I'm going to edit my little fortune cookie here. And we will be able to put Eden's website, Eden's actual Instagram in here. So we can, you can be able to check out Eden. And it is time. Are we ready? It is 5 o'clock. You know what that means. It's time for Barsha, and episode 50 on a queer day with my friend and amazing person, Eden Rose Torres. Yay!
Hi.
Hello. Eden, as you may know, and listen to that welcome you're getting, I do sing a song for all my guests, so I'd like to sing one for you. Where do you go on Mondays when you want to have fun? Where can you go on Mondays when your day is done? Well, Fireside Chat is where it's at. Our guests are all the best. She's an activist, photographer, and damn good singer. I could only rhyme with Suarez. Here's Eden Rose Torres. Help me in welcoming Eden Rose Torres. Is there anything else that rhymes with Suarez? Torres. Anything else that rhymes with Torres? Tell me. Nothing.
I don't know. No, I can't think of it. You did
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say I just cut my hair very short, and I am here and so happy to have you. Let me give you a proper welcome. You are an award-winning photographer. You worked with many LGBTQIA plus equality organizations. You photographed protests, vigils, rallies, press conferences. And I want to start with what your bio says, that in 2016, in the wake of the Pulse shooting, you founded the nonprofit organization Pride Portraits. Can we please start there? Please tell us how that affected you and why you did that and how you did it and how you traveled around.
Yes. So in 2016, the Pulse shooting happened, and it kind of rocked my personal world. I didn't know how to process it. And at that time, I will admit, I was in a little gay male bubble. And I didn't realize how impactful this was to our entire community. But I kept seeing people getting, being really sad and being affected by it. And I said, well, I had not really been in LGBT activism. I'd been in theater for years, but I had quit theater because of some substance abuse issues, and I needed to get some help. And I couldn't perform anymore for a myriad of reasons. And I saw this need, and I had done photography a little bit. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be out by this rainbow paint wall on Tuam and Bagby here in Houston, Texas. And I'm going to put on Facebook, I'm going to be at this space. Come, like, just get a portrait taken. Free, whatever, have fun. And 100 people showed up. It was the most amazing thing that ever happened. And as I was taking everybody's photos, they kept telling me about their lives. And I was learning so much about the LGBTQIA community in this one day. And I was learning all this information, but I was like, well, other people should benefit from this because so much of our community is misunderstood because people just don't know us. And they're scared of the unknown, right? So let's humanize ourselves. Let's use activism and art and personal narrative and like change the conversation. So, yeah.
You know how I do this.
Yeah.
I want to say that it started out just anybody, and then didn't some big, like, famous people, like, can I show the website and some of the pictures? Yeah. Because I was blown away at some of the portraits that you did. So let's talk about who some of these. This is a transgendered Texan woman right here.
Yeah, so this is Monica Roberts. She passed away a couple of years ago, but she was the trans griot, and her like whole thing is she would figure out as much information as she could about the trans women that were murdered, especially here in Texas, but all over the country.
Wow.
And her mission was to get correct information out there because so often people are misgendered or dead named in death. And so she would correct, talk to medical examiners, talk to police, etc. So she is, you know.
And who is this? This is amazing.
This is Gabby Salcido. She is a badass trans Latina activist. She does the Trans Latina Coalition, which is out of LA.
Right.
And she's at the White House all the time, like doing policy stuff. She's just phenomenal. And of course, Angela Davis there. Cleve
There's
Jones.
Angela. Oh, can we please have applause for Angela Davis? What the heck is happening?
Yeah, Cleve Jones, Melissa Etheridge.
Look at Melissa. And by the way, these are beautiful photos. Can we talk about the photos? Look who it is.
Yeah, and there's Nancy Pelosi and Congressman John Lewis and Hillary Clinton. So I definitely incorporated allies into the campaign as well, because especially political allies, if they went back on their affirming LGBT stances, I could say, hey, we have this on record quote from you. What are you doing?
Right.
And then, so I did 7,000 of those. And
okay, 7,000. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. What year are we talking from? Are we talking
This
from
was 2016, and I was pretty active until 16, 17, 18, 19, right, with the pandemic. And then I just kind of stopped for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you this is what I love about you, Eden Rose Torres, and we know each other a little bit through another app, Clubhouse. What I love about you, and I've watched your journey, is that it's okay to talk about you pre-transition.
Yes.
And I asked your permission, so I want everybody to know that. Other people have dealt with that in a different way, which is fantastic, and don't want dead names, don't want pictures, don't want anything. But you're one of the brave people that I say, hey, haters, guess what? I'm going to tell it all here before you have time to do it. So this all happened pre-transition, correct?
Yes.
And what did you find that was different? Were you transitioning during this time?
I definitely was transitioning at the end of when Pride Portraits was pretty active. And, you know, it was sad, but a lot of doors closed. And, you know, people just they didn't know what to do with like a trans woman in leadership. And that's really sad, but it's a really common story. And, you know, yeah, it was pretty heartbreaking, right? Because, you know, I built this amazing body of work that was celebrated, and I partnered with Chevron and Facebook and NASA and the FBI and all of these amazing organizations to get like LGBT visibility out there, especially in the workplace, because if you show up as your authentic self at work, I mean, what else could you ask for, right? Success will just come to you. And, you know, corporations like stopped calling, everything stopped happening. I lost opportunities that were in the works, you know, especially early in transition, because I was still figuring things out. So I guess people just didn't want to come along for the ride, and that's okay, you know?
And because you're a performer, you were so out about all of it. And I can imagine sometimes when you do that, you have periods where you have to retreat and it might be a little hard.
Yes. So there were moments where, you know, when I came out, as trans, I decided to share my entire story, good, bad, whatever. Just because I didn't have that. Like, I mean, yes, there was resources, but like I needed to know the practical stuff, right? And I made a video about being misgendered at Sonic, and that just went crazy. I mean, I put it on the internet and I put it on TikTok, and like millions of people saw it. I did a really quick video count towards like videos of me, reactions to it, and it was like 20 million people, because like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh picked it up, and Candace Owens, and then it just got bigger and bigger. And that was a specific time where I definitely did retreat. It was way too much, way too scary. You know, I even had my own community like attacking me at points. Not everyone.
I remember. And, you know, this is why I really applaud you and wanted you to be on this fireside show at this time, because I really feel like you're in this good place now because I've followed your journey.
Yeah.
And you're able to look back at that now and not have it be as triggering. I'm not saying not triggering, but as triggering as it was before.
Yeah, and especially being a little bit further into transition and being more comfortable in my skin, in my body, in my presentation, etc. Like that has helped so much. And honestly, like doing theater again was just like such a great gift.
So I want to get into what you're going to be in, because I'm about to see you in New York City in a show on June 17th, and I want to plug that show too in a minute. But I do want to back up a little bit, because you mentioned a couple of things when you were speaking, and it's kind of what I had on my list I wanted to talk about. So it said that you were, before your transition, these pride portraits you worked with Fortune 500 companies, and what is UT Houston? Because you help navigate getting transgender women to access PrEP and hormone replacement therapy. Some of our audience doesn't know what that means. Could you just break it down for us?
So I got a call to see if I would be interested in taking this position to help the trans community, trans women specifically, get access to PrEP. And PrEP is a medication that is not only used in HIV treatment, but also in prevention now. And you can take Truvada or Descovy, which is new, or I believe there's a new one that's in trials, which is injectable. And it takes away marginally a little bit of the risk of contracting HIV. And for our community, especially trans women, it is a big deal still, because a lot of us have to do survival sex work. And with that, we are not always in positions to have autonomy over the way we have sex. And we're also often in dangerous situations, and things can happen. So even if we are not sexually active in our own personal lives, things can happen that we don't want to happen. So, you know, my philosophy is we should all be on PrEP. Literally, this is for anyone who's sexually active.
Yes.
Get on PrEP, you know?
So now this is, you know, I'm 60. Yes, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Can I tell you one more thing? So tying this love of helping people gain access to PrEP and HIV and AIDS and that whole topic when I first started Pride Portraits, I went to the Omega House here in Houston, which is an AIDS hospice house. And I, at that point, was still identifying as a gay man. And I had this little gaggle of gays that we would all hang out with. And a lot of them were not on PrEP or anything. They're like, oh, HIV is nothing these days. You just take a pill, it's fine. Yes, and if we can prevent becoming HIV positive, why are we not taking every step we can, right? So I kept going to this hospice house and I would bring these guys with me and I would introduce them to the patients so they knew that this is a treatable, manageable disease, but luxury, access to healthcare, because there are people still dying. And what my favorite Pride portrait, famous people, all this, blah, 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 blah. Fuck it. Not important, but my favorite times were when I would go to Omega House, because these people told me that they didn't feel part of the community anymore. Mm-hmm. And I walked in and there was a guy named Dylan Carrera, and he was 21 years old. And I just couldn't believe that he was there, because I was pretty ignorant at the time, right? And it was so heartbreaking. And he didn't want to do Pride Portraits because he's like, I'm going to be fine. Like, I don't want to be like the face of HIV AIDS hospice house, right? And I said, cool. So I did all the other residents. I went back to my studio, packed up. As I was pulling into the parking lot of my studio, he calls me and goes, hey, are you still at the house? I said, no, I left. And I said, why? And he goes, well, now I want to do the campaign because I think it's important. I said, okay, I'm going to drive right back. Hold on. So I got back in the car, got all my stuff in there, and I went back and we spent about an hour and I just talked to him and I interviewed him and we got his quote and we did his photos. And he actually ended up getting out of the hospice house.
Oh my God, I gotta give applause.
Yeah. And
this is hands-on activism work. This is everything that we have to.
But he didn't, even though he was in a system, even though he had medical care and had become, I guess, to a point where he was okay to live on his own, no one told him, once you feel better, you need to continue to take your medication.
Oh, God.
And so within a month, he was gone.
Oh, my God.
And it was the first time I walked into a funeral and saw the Pride portrait as the photo. And that it like broke my heart, shattered me into a million pieces. But I was so thankful that he had that. He had that. His family had that.
Yes. And that he made that cause before he left. He said, I got to do this. I got to do it. Boy, that's a great, great story. People are clapping down here. I don't know if you can see. People are reacting with the emojis. Thank you, audience, because I want you to feed back to Eden as to how fantastic she is. I want to take you back a little. And then I also want to there was a story done by ABC on you. And I want to show a little of it. But I want to take you back to childhood because you told me it was okay to do that. And so for those of us in the queer community, we understand the struggles with identity. But for some people, it's a little tricky. So can you take us back to when you first were feeling inklings that I might be trans, I'm not a gay man? Like, what age was that?
I don't think I had those words, but I definitely knew something was different. And I mean, when I tell you, I was probably 3, 4 and crawling, and I would just go into my mom's closet and just sit there, and she would find me in there, like, playing with her shoes or whatever. And as soon as I was a little bit older, this is not a joke, I loved Liza Minnelli. I loved everything cabaret. And I would put that little CD tape, or I think it was a tape at that time, I'd put it on the thing, and I would just perform the whole show. And I did that with every Broadway cast recording I could get my hands on. And so there was little me, and I had costumes, I had makeup, I had wigs. My parents built me a costume closet because they knew that this was just something I loved to do. I don't think they had any inkling at that time of gender identity, but they just knew I loved performing, and I never performed the boys' roles. I was always the female lead doing my thing. And I would set up curtains in my bedroom, like from the ceiling. It was, and my favorite part though was not the performing, it was the backstage getting ready, putting on the makeup. Yeah, so silly, right?
I love it. I love it. And it's so funny because when I was, people always, you're so, how can I say this? You're so joyous now and you're just in this good place. And I just so appreciate it because I know a little bit about things that you've gone through. And I just love that you're in this place where you can talk to us from a place of joy, basically like the ground is joyful and whatever comes at you comes at you.
Yeah.
But you brought up something in a clubhouse room and I want people to understand how intense this is. And that is going through security at airports and things like that. People don't think about this stuff. And I had asked you previously, can we talk about this as a trans woman going through airport security? I mean, can you tell us some of the tips you have?
Yes, definitely. So the first time I flew, I was really nervous, and I, because I've heard of horrific moments at TSA and security and all this stuff, and it was also very early in my transition, and I went and I had a little bit of an issue, but not really. But they definitely did flag me as not female, and I couldn't figure out how or why. But I asked around and I went on groups, online, and I finally figured it out that when you step up before you go through the body scanner, the agent will look at you and press what they just visually see, unless they're a real jerk and they clock you. Okay. But usually they'll go, oh, female. Okay, great. So when you're in that body scanner, you're like this. And so I have found out that if you are untucked, you will get flagged because there's something hanging there. So what's the best thing to do? Make sure you are 190% tucked. And you know what? Tucking is not a requirement for trans women. A lot of trans women don't do it. It's painful. It's horrible. Some of us do it all the time, but for flying, that would be my recommendation. And for trans masculine people, if you can get a packer, get something that is anatomically correct looking, so there's something there.
So still, when you're living your most authentic life, you still have to think about the world and their perception of you, which is very...
Yeah. It's not so much how I navigate the world. It's I have to re-navigate the world because of how other people navigate me.
That's a quote. That's a quote. Now, this brings me to this incredible... Can you tell me and set this up before I show this video that was done? Was it by an ABC affiliate in your town?
Yes and no. It was local-ish, which is part of ABC, but part of a bigger... I don't know. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
So they had done a story on Pride Portraits 4 or 5 years ago. And then I transitioned and they came to me and said, hey, can we do an updated version for you?
Great. I want to show a little of this. I might stop and talk because it's a little long, but I do want to show it and see how they featured you.
For as early as I can remember, I remember identifying with everything female. When I was a little kid, I would dress up in dresses and I'd go into my mother's closet and I'd put on her shoes, put on her clothes, and it felt like it was what I naturally gravitated towards. One thing that I talk about a lot is I never felt that camaraderie, and I never felt that unity or brotherhood that gay men feel when they're around each other. I remember that first time I sat with a group of Black and brown trans women, And I remember that feeling I got of, oh my God, I finally know what that feeling is of sisterhood, and feeling like you belong, and feeling like you don't have to explain things, and how your own story, they already knew it. And it terrified me. At the same time, it was the best feeling in the world. My name is EDEN Torres, and I am a transgender Latina, and my pronouns are she, her.
Yes! Now, before we go any further, I want to just say, first of all, another set of applause. Why and how did you get connected with that broadcast? What happened? Just because of Pride Portraits?
Yeah, there was at ABC 13, a guy named Brandon who I'd known socially for years, and he works at ABC. And so he had done an original story with me, and that was pre-transition. And then, so they asked to do this new updated one. And since then, I've also, whenever there's a murder, whenever there is a trans murder, whenever there's something legislatively bad, I'll usually be asked to go on usually ABC or another news station and do commentary about it.
Right.
Because in Houston, I'm one of the most visible trans women that there is, in social media, etc.
Yes. And that's what I want to say. It's like what you're doing here, and you're also managing to, was this show you're in, not to segue in a weird way, but this came to Houston first, and now it's coming to New York, right?
So it fits so perfectly in my story, Marsha, because I got this call from Latriva, which is a woman here in Houston, who knows a friend of mine in New Jersey. And they had been looking for a trans woman to play an activist in this show.
Whoa.
And I was like, and they threw my name out there, and they Googled me or whatever. And then he called me, and we talked a little bit, and he told me about the show. And I said, well, I have not performed in like 12 years. I'm not sure that it's something I still want to do or can do. I mean, I know I could do it, but it was like a pivot for me, right? And I read the script, and the role of Ashlyn is who I play. She is so much like me. She's an actress from Houston, right? And she's a trans.
Okay, you say that you can't sing, that you didn't know if you could sing, but let me just play them something of you singing. I'm not going to show it, but can I just play this because it's so good? Let's see. I want to get it. What is going on? Come on. I mean, if that's not a belting Broadway voice, I don't know what is. So let's get that out of the way.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's something I love to do, but like after I transitioned, it was so scary to even think about doing it, because it. This woman in the show is very bold. She commands the room. She takes up space. She says a lot of stuff about her body, like down there, that I don't really talk about that much in public. And it was scary, but I read it and I thought it was done really well. And the one thing I liked is it wasn't centered in trauma. So many trans and non-binary, gender expansive stories are rooted in trauma. And we are so much more than that. Like, she's an activist. She's gone to law school. She's got her shit together. Like, I don't know. I was just really excited about it. So I said yes. And so we did the production here in Houston. And it was like a workshop production because he just wanted to get it up and see what it would do. And we did like, I don't know, 5-8 performances or something. And then he entered it into this festival in New York, the Downtown Urban Arts Festival. And that's a festival that like uplifts BIPOC playwrights. And there is some sort of contest component, but I'm very confused about that. So I don't know what that is. But, you know, I got a call again and he said, so we're doing this. Would you be interested in auditioning again? And first of all, I went offer only. But no, I'm kidding. I said, of course, yes, to do anything in New York, right?
I can't believe I'm coming to see you on June 17th. Can you tell us the name of the show? Tell us how we can get tickets. Anybody, I'm finally going to meet you, which is a thrilling whole proposition. Not only that, but to see you on stage performing. I can't wait. Tell us about the show, what it's called, who wrote it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so it's called Strapped, the play. And it is a show about 7 people that go to a theater to see a show, which they think is about gun violence. And then all of a sudden it turns into the show's canceled, but you can't get out of the theater. And then it just goes. And we have to go through these things where we talk about our lives. And if you've ever seen the movie Clue.
I didn't see Clue, but I played it a lot. Yeah.
Okay. You know, it just moves it's such an ensemble piece. And that's what this show is. And there is definitely some people in the show that have like larger roles and some smaller roles. And but without any of us, it wouldn't work. And it's one of those shows where once we're on stage, we don't leave the stage.
Wow.
And that is so much fun for me because we actually have to actively listen, which enriches our own performances even more.
Is it no intermission? Is it like an hour and 45? Like what is it?
Yeah, no intermission, hour 45. And
what theater? I think it's
at the J Sharp Theater at Playwrights Horizons.
Playwrights Horizons. Oh, yeah. Well, I am there. I bought 2 tickets. I'm coming with Kim. I'm going to meet all of my friends there. I'm very, very excited and excited to meet you. Listen, what happened with, this is personal questions. Tell me I shouldn't ask these things, but what happened to your voice when you started transitioning? Did anything happen vocally, range-wise?
No, so it's really funny. I, first of all, have never had any dysphoria around my voice, except in singing. I do have a lot of dysphoria there. But in terms of speaking, whatever, like I never questioned it. It's just me, right? And I also grew up loving like broads, right? And so like that like deep smoker voice, like with a little bit of grit and, like it just doesn't bother me. I love it. So, but vocally, I do feel like my range has gotten higher, but I don't know if that's scientifically like a thing or that's just like psychosomatic, right?
Right. Because I know for queer people like my partner, testosterone thickens your vocal cords.
Yes.
But it doesn't work that way the other way around.
Right.
Exactly.
So, and I know a lot of trans women that do a lot of vocal training to talk up here. And that's not my thing,
Yeah, I just your voice is your voice and it's a great voice. And it's so distinctive the way it is. I just love it. That's why I asked. I love it. I love it. So, okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, and you told me I could talk about this, but I really am treading, because I really respect people's boundaries when it comes to this kind of stuff. But like I talked about before, some people don't like dead names to be talked about or looks. But you, before the show, showed me a picture.
Yes.
And you said you wanted to show it. Yeah. So if you want to show it and talk about your previous life, please.
This is me at like 12 years old. And this is from a playbill when I was at a summer camp thing in 1997.
Wow.
And I was doing 9 the musical. What the hell?
At what age? What you're doing?
I was 12. Yeah. Can you imagine? And I think the lead, like Guido, was like maybe 15, right?
And so you had this musical theater thing. You always wanted to be on stage. And, I mean, I like that you had supportive parents on that level. I mean,
Yeah,
did you?
well, yes. So when I did come out as trans, it did take my mom and dad a while to get on board. And
Right.
I understand why. Because when I came out, I had spent 5 years on my own figuring out who the hell I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell anyone because
Right.
I didn't want anyone else's voice in my brain. I needed to do this for myself
Right.
because there was someone inside of me screaming to get out.
Right.
And it reminds me of that ab fab moment when they go, just the one, dear. And anyway, so yeah, there's this person inside of me screaming to get out. And when I was ready to come out, and actually a lot of people on Clubhouse helped me, like Blossom Brown and Hope Giselle and some other people were really integral in that because we would be in private rooms and I'd be talking to them. Anyway, I just changed my name. I changed my pronouns on everything. And I wrote an email to my mom and I said, and my mom and my dad, and I said, just so you know, I'm a trans woman. My name's Eden, and here we go. And I said, I'm not going to be doing anything medically right now, blah, 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 blah. Actually, at that point, I was going to keep my name, which, I don't know where I kind of got that was going to be affirming for me.
Right.
But I actually, so it was quite a shock for them. And I just expected them to catch up right away.
Right.
Because they always had. With
Right.
everything. I mean, I put them through the ringer with stuff.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
I know.
intentionally,
My
but-
mother is in the audience. Hello, Mom, and thank you for being here. Mom is in a different place than Mom was back then. So,
Yeah. So, but it took my mom sat me down and she said, well, you just look like a fat Latina whore. You look, you're not, this is not something that I'm going to co-sign. If all this money in this account, you're going to lose access. It was not good. And it really hurt because she'd always been support, like anything I did,
right.
and
Did you have siblings?
No, just me. And I was adopted.
Oh,
And that kind of ties into my name today because, I did choose to change my name eventually. And when I did that, I really sat down and thought about it. And I asked some friends some advice on it. And I had picked Eden Torres first. And Torres was my original birth name from El Salvador before I was ever adopted, and my last name was Shell.
wow. That's cool.
Right. And with the work I do with my I'm a Latino woman, so I just felt like it made a little more sense to have a name that fit fit me.
Yeah.
It's my name. It's in a sense. And then I picked Eden because of Eden Espinosa because I'm obsessed with her.
Oh my God, I love Eden Espinosa.
Right? Right?
Yes.
And
That's
then
amazing.
yeah, and then I was like, well, I've always had 3 names. My original birth name was 3 names. Then I guess what I would consider my dead name was 3 names. And so Eden Torres just felt weird. So I asked some people, and I think some of them are here, and Rose came up. I think maybe because of the Golden Girls, and then one of my friends said, well, what about Rose? And I was like, oh my God, I don't think I will go there, but I do like Rose. And I think he's the only person who can really call me Rose. Yeah, I don't know. And then Eden Rose Torres, and here I am.
I love it. It's a great, great name. I love it so much. I want to also bring up.
And I got it legally changed, and that was the most phenomenal process I've ever gone through. And I want to say, if you live in a state where you don't know how to navigate changing your name or gender marker, there are usually gender name clinics or I don't know, they're pretty easy to find, but they help you navigate the whole process because it's quite a process.
Now, listen, you're living in a hotbed state for all these things that are happening.
They just outlawed, it's illegal on September 23rd, 2023, I think. It will be illegal for trans youth to access gender affirming care.
I mean, what, are you happy you're living there? Some people, like in Florida, my friends are saying, I got to get out of Florida. But what is your view about Florida, Texas, these states that are really doubling down? Is it important for you to stay there and not leave? That's your mission there?
I think it was. I think when I was at the height of Pride portraits, being in the South was great. But I didn't deal with the things I deal with now.
Yes.
Like we were talking about, I could travel all across the country. Right. Recently, I opened up my books during COVID to try to get some Pride portraits done because Disney has given me a large sum of money to continue my work.
Excuse me. Okay, now go on. You just dropped that bomb.
Talk about the day that I was on a Zoom and people at Disney were like, "You're just such a great storyteller." And I was like, "What?" But yeah, so I have this money to continue my work and all this stuff, and I can't do it because I opened my books and immediately I was bombarded with emails of people basically telling me how they were going to kill me and what they were going to do with my body when they were done with it, right?
Right. Now, this is hard stuff to talk about, but listen, people, this is very important what Eden's saying. Eden it gets death threats. Can we talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. So I get a lot of death threats. I have been doxxed more times than I can think of. And that's where my address, my phone number, my email, I think a bank account had been leaked once on that site, Kiwi Farms. It's been years of that and it's exhausting. And honestly, I don't even have to do anything. I was at a protest the first time it happened, on the side of defending drag queen story time. And there was KKK members and MAGA Republicans there, and they identified me, I guess for media stuff. And then all of a sudden it was on this website, W4 or 4W or something. It's a huge right-wing blog. And then I started seeing my address everywhere.
Oh.
And, I had police undercover around my parents' house, around my house. It was very scary. But yeah, it's a different ball game now.
But you're saying you want to stay there.
I don't. No.
You
sorry.
don't
That's why
now.
I started talking about this. I was like, how did we get here? I don't want to stay here.
Okay.
The last time I got doxxed was a couple weeks ago, and people were writing, "We're waiting outside for you and your dog." And they described my dog, and they put my address and all this stuff, and it was disarming. And I'm just done with it. And I don't feel like I need to be here anymore because I spend so much time in this apartment. I hardly leave my apartment. And if I do leave, it's to go to an event or when I'm speaking somewhere or something else. But the majority of the days I'm in my apartment, and I am very lucky because I live in a complex that has a gym here. There's restaurants right downstairs that have guest entry or resident entry, so I don't even have to go outside to the street. The dog park is on the 4th floor, and it's very secure, and all those things make me feel better, but I'm tired of living a life confined to my apartment. And even that's scary because I don't always present this way at 6:00 in the morning going to walk my dog, right?
Right. And by the way, why aren't we hearing your dog? Your dog is always very vocal. Don't get her started.
No, she's sleeping.
Okay. Listen, for you to even share this stuff with us, I really, really appreciate it. I know it was important to me to start out my first show of June with you because I admire your bravery. I admire everything you're doing. And you're a damn good singer and photographer. I mean,
Well,
you're like
you.
this talented activist is what I say. And I want to switch the subject to theater now for a minute. And because at 5:45, I always ask people, 5:45 my time, if they want to ask questions in the chat or they want to come up or whatever. So please feel free. I'm checking the chat. I'm seeing if anybody wants to ask anything. I want to talk about some of the roles you've played. You were in a musical theater company. And you performed at the Hobby Center. And like you said, 12 years ago, you were in Rent, you were in Thoroughly Modern Millie, you were in Avenue Q, you were in Assassins. What did you play in all those shows? I have to hear this.
Gosh, okay, Avenue Q, I was Trekkie Monster. So the internet is for porn was my song. And let's see, in Assassins, I was Zangara. Which was like probably my favorite role because I went to a very psychotic place.
Yes, you have to.
And I mean, it was fascinating to do that show. Any of Sondheim's work is like really cool to do.
Yes.
I did Sunday in the Park with George, which was amazing.
Wow.
Gosh, Rent, Rent! That was one of my favorite shows. And I specifically asked for an ensemble track, the one that sings in the support meeting. And the company owner said, well, you're not emaciated enough to look like you're dying from HIV and AIDS. Oh. And I said, well, you don't know my status, do you? And so I got the track I wanted. And they wanted me to understudy some other roles in the show. And I said, no, I just want to do this little thing. That's all I want to do. Wow. Just give me this.
And what about Thoroughly Modern Millie?
Thoroughly Modern Millie, I was Bun Fu. Yeah. And so Drowsy Chaperone. That was the one where I was really pissed because in the script, and this time I was still presenting as male. I was a gay man. And in the script, it says can be played by a woman or a drag queen. And I was up for the role, and I just didn't get it. But of Drowsy Chaperone, and as we stumble along, which is like one of the most phenomenal numbers out there.
Yes.
So
do you dance too? I mean, did you do the whole theater dancing and everything?
Oh my God, yeah, I did. I was in tap for years.
God, yeah. So great.
Yeah, it's God, it feels like a lifetime ago, but that stuff I never lost my love for it.
Yes, but you're gonna get to do it. I can't wait to see you. Now, look, we're down to the last 15 minutes of this show. I really do want to get serious for a minute. Like, what can we do? People have expressed to me, as you know, on Clubhouse and other places, that they're very scared right now. I've seen scariness. I'm 64. I've been out since I was 19. What can we do here with these laws? I mean, what are we doing? What aren't we like? Is this? I hate to say it, but it reminds me of the rise of Hitler. I can't help it.
Yeah. I think that the best thing for people outside of these horrific states to do is offer resources. Like, here's a great example. Jessica Lane, Right Lane Realty Group, great realtor in California. She is more than willing, equipped, and able to help families relocate.
Yes.
And she will make that process seamless.
Great.
And it's great because California has become a sanctuary state for trans kids, thanks to Scott, I think his name is Weiner, I'm not sure. He passed that legislation. And so little things like that. How can you help from where you are? Like, concretely, because there are families of kids that, think about this. If you are on puberty blockers, all of a sudden you have to get off those puberty blockers. You're medically detransitioning these kids. And if you haven't even gotten on, or if you're about to get on them, or, how are these kids going to be themselves?
I know.
And it's so vital because at that age, you can stop all of this from happening. All of the masculizing puberty things that people can look at me and go, ooh, we clocked you. These kids don't have to deal with that. But now if they live in Texas and they can't move out of state, they're going to have to go through the wrong puberty.
I mean, these are also existential questions, but why are people so concerned with people's identities in general? I mean, why are they making political platforms out of this? I just don't, I know that's so, I just don't get it. Like, what is it all about religion? It is, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it's about religion. I think it's about power. It's about drumming up this, it's about staying elected. It's about,
I'm saying it's a political, we are a political platform now. We're like
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So look, we're going to do what we can do. Does anybody want to ask a question in the chat? I see so many people applauding, laughing, sharing. It's just incredible. Somebody is asking to speak. Here is a question for you from Audra. How can TSA legally care about gender via identification of gender via physical parts? It seems like a major invasion of privacy, and it seems like it should be against policy. It's just insane to me.
It probably is against policy. I don't know. I think if we've learned anything and everything is a target for trans people, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, but the best thing you can do is learn the workarounds.
Yeah, learn the workarounds, and that's it. But you're right. It seems, Audrey, you're right. Like this can't be like happening. Oh God. Anybody else? I'm looking for any kind of, because this is such an incredible, incredible show, and I appreciate there's a request here to come up here. Stephen Henry, do the proceeds of the show that you're performing in go towards any organization?
No.
So you're really performing. You're performing for just your own.
I mean, we get paid, but
of course. Yeah. Unbelievable. Also, we have Lee Grossman saying phenomenal work, Eden. And yes, and people are asking things. I'm very excited. So many people are here supporting you, and this is my 50th show. Yay!
Yay!
And you are my 50th show. So let's say there's somebody out there that is scared and is watching this to actually come out, and you know that it's a long journey and you know it takes a lot. What would be your advice to that person who knows they're trans and still is not coming out?
I mean, I would say if I hadn't become myself, if I hadn't pushed through doors, if I hadn't broken my own glass ceilings, I don't think I'd be here. I was in a really, really bad place mentally, emotionally before I came out. And I didn't have a choice.
Right.
I wanted to live, but I couldn't have lived in the body that I was in and as the person that I was. I honor that person. I love that person. I'm proud of that person. Now I wasn't always, but you know, the benefits that you gain living your life authentically are endless, and people will come around, people will get their shit together, and they will be supportive. And if they're not, the people that are already in your life, I mean, I lost so many friends.
Yes.
So many friends, and like people I'd spent intimate time with, in every sense of that word.
Yes.
For like 7 years, and just dropped me because they didn't know what to do with a trans woman.
Go ahead. Did you want to?
Are worth it. All of those things are worth it.
All of those things are worth it. Did you hear that, everybody? If you're thinking, all of those things are worth it. I also wanted something that's in the news and that you put on your Instagram. Please, everybody go see it. Eden went through Target, as we know, who has removed all their LGBT. Have they removed it or changed places? Because in your Instagram video, they have pushed all the LGBTQIA stuff to the back of the store. Is that true?
Yeah. So yeah, this whole topic has been a little bit confusing for everyone. From the best of my ability, this is what I know. Target had their Pride gear, Pride merch, like they always do, and they put it out, and they had trans-specific items like swimsuits that were tucking friendly. And those items, the trans-specific items, were the ones targeted initially. And then I think there was threats that were made to employees, the company itself, etc. So they removed some of, sorry, I was testing lipstick on my hand here. And they removed some of the items that were trans-specific, so that gives less access to us for things that, like, I would have loved that swimming suit. But the thing that I'm learning now is that Target is not supporting the artists that they've pulled. And so there are artists out there who are getting death threats, who are getting harassment, who are getting all of this negative stuff. Plus, they're not making any money because all of this amazing revenue, is that the right word?
Yes.
They were gonna make, is no more because their stuff isn't being sold. So,
right.
And that's only in specific stores in the South.
Unbelievable. And our last 5 minutes are here. You have given us such invaluable information. We've got people in the chat asking one last question, which I really love. Audra asked this. Eden, what do you see for yourself in the future? Will you be doing more theater now, do you think? And what is your dream role?
God, I don't even know. That's a really hard question to answer. I would love to do more theater. I think I'm very privileged to be working in the arts as a trans woman, but also telling a trans story.
Yes.
And that is the only reason I took this gig to begin with. But I would love to do more. I would love to do more. And I would also love to, at some point, not just play trans women and just play women, like cis women.
Yes.
And you know, have it not be this big thing. Because I would never say the reverse. Like, I would never co-sign a cisgender person playing a trans person because we just don't have enough representation.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, speaking of 9, I would love to play Carla in 9, you know? Or
yes.
Just something really like, I don't know. But there's just a lot of things I would love to do.
Audra is last question, and then we're going to go. Audra said, what about writing your own story? What about writing it?
I would love to write a book. Yes. I'm not sure I would like to write something theatrical, but I would love to write a book.
All right. Look, everybody, thank you so much for being here and to witness this amazing person, Eden Rose Torres. Let's have a giant round of applause. Eden, we have just enjoyed having you here. You have enlightened us. You have inspired us. Thank you so much.